One last thing on Jason Scott Lee, real quick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big proponent on like natural bodybuilding, and I always promote on my channel like you can actually get good gains if you live healthy and work out consistently. But I think like there's this assumption that especially actors in Hollywood, and granted they do make pretty good transformations in a fairly quick time. In this case, Jason Scott Lee in 3.5 months. So obviously not discounting, you know, the 7 hours of training you were doing with him a day. Obviously, that's going to make anybody look phenomenal. But as far as you know, because I'm curious myself, I think he was natural in Dragging the Bruce Lee story. Now, I know a lot of my audience says, like, no, he's a movie guy. He's doing steroids or other performance enhancing drugs. Do you know by any chance if he actually did build that body naturally, or was he on what people assume most people in Hollywood are on? Hey guys, today's video is another segment from that great interview I did with Steven Lambert. He wrote the book From the Streets of Brooklyn to the Halls of Hollywood. Highly recommended. I'm going to link it in the description below if you want to buy it from Amazon. It's a great read. But in today's video, we're going to talk about Jason Scott Lee's preparation for Dragging the Bruce Lee story. Steven Lambert had such an instrumental role in preparing him to become Bruce Lee. So I hope you enjoy this. And if you want to help support the channel, make sure to hit that like button. And please subscribe if you're into this kind of content. So, Dragging the Bruce Lee story.
Yes.
And so Jason Scott Lee, you mentioned in the book during some like audio commentary, director Rob Cohen said Jason had the body of a god and was an extraordinary specimen. While you say when you first got a hold of him, he was wiry, skinny, lacked any muscle tone. So you essentially transformed his body in 3.5 months. Now, mentally and physically, for the role of Bruce Lee. Now, aside from all the martial arts training, like what kind of did you have him like lifting weights or what? Because his body looked pretty impressive in the movie.
Well, first of all, let me say it always amazes me, shocks me. This is disappointing to listen to people that you so respect and you so admire to change the truth, to change what really went on. And, I don't get upset. I don't get mad. It's just very disappointing. I love Rob Cohen. I respect him. Ultra talented man. We got along great. But to say what he just said was just, and we get that a lot. I get that a lot, talking specifically, from many actors, which is, you can't control it. Directors, producers, actors, you can't control it, but it amazes you because you work so hard and you sit there and you know what you put into it and you know what he was. And it's funny, but it's not, because people 100 years from now are going to listen to it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the truth. And believe me, if it was the truth, I would tell you. But what I did, I worked so hard on that guy, mentally and physically. He almost gave up, as I told you in the book, a couple of times. He almost, and if it wasn't for us having a conversation and me giving him the confidence, because that's a big part of it, especially with Bruce Lee. My God, how can you copy him? We worked hard together, and I did everything with him. I did martial arts. I did kung fu. I did karate. I did jujitsu. Did aikido. I did boxing. Okay, we played tennis. We lifted weights. We did parkour. We did what's the tendon, the muscle training, the machines.
Like the Nautilus machines, those were the popular ones, but
A lot of Nautilus machines. We went jogging, hiking, weapons, a lot on weapons. We went swimming. We did all kinds of things for that timing, that coordination, for that distance, for that focus, for that power of the mind. We took every video that Bruce ever had and watched it. 12, 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, non-stop. And like I explained in the book, after we did the screen test, I realized I needed more. So I called Linda Lee, and Linda gave me 5 wonderful men that were Bruce's black belts. One turned out to be a dud.
Yeah, Jerry Poteet. That was a memorable section in the book for sure. Yet he
Yeah,
gets the credit in the film for whatever reason.
like I said, remember I mentioned just a few seconds ago, it's beyond me why these people say the things they do. You know, um, you know, uh, Jason and I saw each other once since that movie, and it was probably 2 years after. He was doing a Time Cop, one of those Time Cop.
Yeah, they had that straight to video sequel to Time Cop. I remember with him.
And we hugged and we talked for an hour, and it was good times. But why he doesn't give me credit? Why a lot of things? You know, insecurity, jealousy. I have nothing to hide. I tell the truth. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud that he worked so hard and looked so good. But to not give me the credit that I deserve kind of hurts him. And like I said, takes away the truth for the future. People for 100 years from now are going to see, and they're going to debate it. What is Steve Lambert telling the truth? Is Rob Cohen telling the truth? Why isn't Jason Scott Lee saying the truth? Why? I don't know why these people, Michael Dudikoff, Shokazuki, Van Damme, I can go on and on. Why they say these things, like Jason Scott Lee. God bless him. I'm proud of what I was able to achieve with them. Hopefully, maybe someday they'll all tell the truth. If they don't, I know the truth. The people who know me and know my work know the truth. And that's all I can ask for. I mean, Michael Dudikoff, God bless him. I love the guy, right? But to this day, he's never in an interview mentioned my name once. And
you were really huge part in American Ninja. But yeah, that's a whole section. Everything with Cannon in the film, Menahem Golan, his daughter who had a big crush on you. I mean, fascinating. Fascinating.
But
really entertaining.
Was the same way. Shokazuki was the same way. Revenge of the Ninja, we were like brothers. And, things happen in the book, not my fault, but Menachem's fault that Ninja 3, the Domination, we weren't as close. And, there's stories after Ninja, Blind Fury, Aloha Summer.
Hey guys, just a quick intermission. I'm going to do a whole video series covering these Canon Ninja films, Revenge of the Ninja, Ninja 3 The Domination, and American Ninja. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about him, and now that Steven Lambert has become a friend with the channel, we have a great resource. He's going to provide insight, make these videos way better than they otherwise would have been, create a lot of value there for you guys. So look forward to those in the future, and let's get back to Dragging the Bruce Lee story. One last thing on Jason Scott Lee real quick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big proponent on like natural bodybuilding, and I always promote on my channel like you can actually get good gains if you live healthy and work out consistently. But I think like there's this assumption that especially actors in Hollywood, and granted they do make pretty good transformations in a fairly quick time. In this case, Jason Scott Lee in 3.5 months. So obviously not discounting, the 7 hours of training you were doing with him a day. Obviously that's going to make anybody look phenomenal. But as far as because I'm curious myself, I think he was natural in Dragging the Bruce Lee story. Now, I know a lot of my audience says, like, no, he's a movie guy. He's doing steroids or other performance-enhancing drugs. Do you know by any chance if he actually did build that body naturally, or was he on what people assume most people in Hollywood are on?
Well, he worked very hard. Very hard. And for 3.5 plus all that time that I know of, from the moment we met, from the time we left. There was never any conversation about that, never any talk about it, never any visual um, looks that I had, uh, never saw anything to give me any idea that he had. He worked hard and dedicated and knew, like I said, he broke down a couple of times, as I explain in the book.
Yeah.
And if you read it, it'll explain how and when and the situations. But but the guy put everything he had, good or bad, into it. And the muscles that he had at the time, going into the Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, was stuff that he worked on himself. What he did behind the scenes, I'll never know. I never saw any shots in his arms, and I looked at his body pretty much, you know. I had measurements done, from the very beginning. I took measurements, so I saw his arms, his forearms. I saw his legs, as he grew, as he toned, to give him the confidence. I mean, it's not all, punch here, punch there. There's a lot of mental stuff going on to this extent of, a superhero as Bruce Lee was.
Yeah. Real life one.
But I never saw any of that. And I congratulate him into the work ethic. He had a tremendous work ethic.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like, and it's amazing, the amount of time you spent training with them. And then because it's such an important movie, and I remember seeing it in the theater when I was a kid, but it's such an important movie that you assembled a team, like you mentioned, to help further his training from guys who actually knew and trained with Bruce Lee. So I didn't know any of that behind the scenes stuff, took place. I figured they cast the guy. I'm sure they prepared him, but you were basically the guy that is responsible for all of that, which is kind of amazing.
God bless Rob, because we worked together before, and he saw my stunt ability and my martial art ability and my second unit directing ability, and we became such good friends. We worked together before. He trusted me, and as I explained to you in the book, there was a meeting. There's a lot of details in there. You really have to go on with every sentence and every paragraph and every page to understand what really went on there. I mean, a lot of fascinating things there. And that was the key. I knew at that moment after the screen test, I talk about the screen test, I can go on repetitious. I can do it, teach them other moves. I already at that time put together all the fight sequences, the majority of what's going to go on. There could be a few changes and all that with other stunt people, other videos. I had a package of videos that I filmed already that we were going to take to Hong Kong, to China. And I've already choreographed more or less everything. So, to have that team after and to have those months to still continue training him mentally and physically, I felt like I wanted more and I needed more because I never met Bruce. I never experienced Bruce. I can only go by Bruce, but I can only go with Jason Scott Lee, what I know of Bruce, just being a fan. That's all I was a fan. So I felt like, I needed to take this one step further. And that's when I thought of the brilliant idea of calling Linda, because we became friends. I mean, the story, the meeting, Linda and I, because I didn't originally have this. It was up in the air. It's a great story where Rob Cohn called me into his office and he went into his closet and he took out a big cardboard box full of 1,000, letters from all over the world saying, who the hell is this Holly, this white boy? Doing the Bruce Lee story. I mean, letter after letter, and if it wasn't for then we had to have a meeting, and I won't go on. I mean, the meeting was fascinating. Brendan Lee and Linda Lee had a meeting, and the conversation Linda and I had, make a long story short, I just about cried at the end because of what she told me. And
Yeah.
if you read that part,
Oh
you'd
yeah.
understand. Yeah.
That whole section could literally be a book in itself. Ultimate behind the scenes, a Dragon the Bruce Lee story.
A movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the Wicked Witch of the West?
Oh, that's that producer lady, right?
Raffaella De
There you
Laurentiis.
go. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember her name. Yeah.
The Wicked
Yeah,
Witch.
it's crazy, man. I mean, just the stuff you have with Canon can be a
Oh,
book. Stuff you have with that can be a
but
book.
what I was saying before that I lost track of, there was a moment where Rob Cohn, um, Jason was enjoying our workout so much, and Rob was so enthusiastic with what I was doing. There was a moment, a meeting there with Raffaella, Jason Scott Lee, myself, and Rob Cohn. Rob Cohn set it up. And during this meeting, um, uh, he wanted to have discussions about a variety of things. But he made a big mistake, and I explain this in the book. This was about an hour and a half meeting. And during this meeting, he made a comment, which was a big mistake. He told Jason Scali and Raffaella De Laurentiis, and the production manager was there, I don't recall his name. He made a mistake and said, the first three bosses of this film is Rob Cohn, me, Jason Scott Lee, and Steve Lambert.
That's awesome.
And I explained this in the book. And when he said that in front of these guys, especially Raffaella, because like I said, I mean, she was.
Yeah, not your biggest fan.
She was. I mean, I can't begin to tell how wacko she was, um, uh, in her own world. But the minute that Rob Cohn said that, I knew it was over between Raffaella and I, because
Sure.
you don't say that. You don't put me third in command, even if you want. You keep your mouth shut.
Yeah,
Let everybody think what they want, and let me be a silent partner.
sure.
As far as because part of this conversation, he was telling everybody, I want him in charge of the sets. I want him in charge of wardrobe. I want him in charge of locations. That's how much he was, because it was the Asian look, and he knew that my whole life was around this. And we had worked together already, putting something together in the Michael J. Fox, James Woods movie. I can't remember the name. Do so many movies.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy just looking at your IMDb of what you've been involved with over the decades. And a lot of these movies are movies that everyone has heard of, pretty crazy. But going back to the book in general, and like I mentioned, it's huge. It took me like a month straight studying this thing like a college textbook just to get through it. And how long did it take you and your writing partner to write this book anyway? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that segment of the interview I had with Steven Lambert. Stay tuned because I still got to post a full entire video. We're going to get some really cool background on him, his martial arts, how he got involved in the stunt world, etc. You won't want to miss it. Make sure to share this video with your friends if they're fans of Dragon the Bruce Lee story or this kind of content. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed, like the video to help support it. And I will see you in the next video.